have fun.
Janet will appreciate it.
Yes,
She'll
Janet.
smile when you get us.
You're going to be our audience, Janet. Maybe she doesn't want to be around.
Say, Jerry, are we ready to go? You want me to help you? Okay, we're ready. Okay, have you hit the start live streaming on the computer there? I did it. All right. All right, here we go. Where did we put it?
because I'd taken one Monday night and it's negative. We did go about a half a second ago. Definitely is. And it took forever for me to get in. That was the issue. So it was you just couldn't do it. It's classic when you take a shower, you have to take a nap. What is wrong with it? It seems like it comes so I think just fix it.
I need to go through this.
Do it.
Technology. Someday I'm going to get up to the 21st century here, so bear with me. Well, good morning. My name is Sue Ann Lang. I'm a member here at All Souls UU Church, and delighted to see everybody here today. Just a few acknowledgments. We're delighted to have Rev.Jean Morrow here as our guest speaker. Some of you, she will be familiar. I was going to say she's sort of a convert.
Oh, I'm kind of one of you.
Yeah, kind of one of us. So, yeah, and we're just delighted when she can be here. Thank you to Carol and Dan for that lovely Christmas introduction with the violins. You never know what talent's lurking out there in your congregations. And I always appreciate when somebody has the courage to come forward and share their gifts with us, whatever they might be, whether it's writing a poem or playing music. So appreciate that. Thank you to Terry for running sound. Dan is working with us to get everybody up and streaming. We have a couple of our members who have COVID now, and so send our healing thoughts out to them. Let's see. Thank you to Scott and Janet for preparing our coffee and tea. Before I forget, and for our probably less acknowledged but certainly very important, our classroom teachers for our children and for our child care people. They are essential. So I think that's the thank yous for right now. Let's see here. Let's just go into our words of welcome. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment, to rest on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim ourselves. Awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see their communion, the reflection of our own eyes, this house of laughter and silence, memory and hope is hallowed by our presence together. So, a special welcome to anyone who might be a guest or a visitor. You are welcomed here. Whomever you love, whoever loves you, you are welcomed here. For whatever reason you might be here today, know you are welcomed in this community. We are so glad you have decided to join us today. I do have a couple quick announcements, and certainly a thank you to all those who have been willing to think ahead and get your announcements in our order of service. It does help people like me, who sometimes isn't a particularly good listener, but certainly reads things. So first, there is a new community being formed as a place for all people to belong. It's called Shepherd's Table. They affirm that all people are loved and claimed by God, no matter what. Our faith community has been invited to join them on their official launch today, December 17th, from 3 to 5:30. It will be at the Prism Community Center, the new LBGTQS+ Center at 500 Northwestern Avenue. And I have that. If you want more information or just a repeat of that, come see me afterwards. The next thing is we are going to have 2 Christmas Eve services. One at 10 a.m. on Christmas Eve day that will be carols and candles and singing. So we invite you to join us. And then we're going to repeat that, and there will be childcare. And then we're going to repeat that in the evening at, let me check the time so I tell you correctly, at 6. And that one will actually include candles. So at 10, regular worship time, and it will include fellowship and circle discussion. And then at 6 p.m., it will just be the candles, carols, and customs. So we invite you to join us for that. And then the third thing is, I have been notified by our contact at Spirit of Peace, UCC Church, that they have invited us to help them serve the banquet again. I know it's going to be the end of January or the 1st of February. She has not confirmed an actual date yet. So as I find out more, I will get it in the announcements, and it is a wonderful time. Terry and I went out Friday night, and it was a good time. It was a good time. So we were out at Banquet West, and I know there are, downtown has a lot more people to help, but anyway. So those are the announcements that I have, and again, thank you for those who submitted them to be put in the order of service. At this time, I'd like to invite Carol to play our prelude for us. Oh, thank you, Carol. That was beautiful. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. I'd like to invite you to join us with the singing of our first song. It's number 16. We're going to sing it twice through. I think it's something you're familiar with. Carol will give us an introduction, and then twice. "'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be." And so on the three upside, we sing in valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight, till by turning we come out right. 'Tis a gift to be simple, 'tis a gift to be free, 'tis a gift to come down where we ought to be. And when we find ourselves in the place just right, 'twill be in the valley of love and delight. When true simplicity is gained, to bow and to bend we shan't be ashamed. To turn will be our delight. Thank you. At this time, I would invite the children up. We have some things to talk about. Good morning. Love your shirt. Come on up. And you can sit in a chair if you'd rather, or on the floor, whichever you're most comfortable at. Perfect. All right, so here's the deal. I am curious to know what you believe is the best food. The best food. And the adults can participate too if they'd like. The best food at this time. After you think about that, if you have something in mind, can you raise your hand and hold it up? Oh, that's okay. You can go like this, or just do this. Any ideas out there what your best food is? What's your best food? If I go like this, you can either say it out loud or just think it, or just tell your neighbor. What's your best? Donuts. Donuts. Oh my goodness. Good idea for a best food. Do you have a best food? No? Okay. Do you have a best food? No? Anybody out there's got a best food?
Baklava.
Baklava. Raise your hand, please. Cheeseburgers. Salmon. Grilled, baked? Grilled.
Lasagna.
Oh, lasagna. Okay, so. Enchiladas. Okay, so as we can see, each one of us has an idea of what our best food is. This is what we believe. So here's another thing to ponder. Do you think maybe that best food could change? That maybe after Christmas you might have a new best food? Or after visiting a friend's house, maybe you have a new best food? What do you think? Have you ever changed your mind? Have you ever changed your mind about what a best food is? No? Oh, see, okay. We have another, so see? So what does it taste like? Think about this for a minute. What does your best food taste like? When you think about that. Sweet. Anybody else? What does your best food taste like? Comfort food. Yes, absolutely. Comfort food. That's kind of not a taste here, but a taste here and here. Oh, and he said sweet. Yeah, at this time of year. Oh, is she? Okay. So at this time of year, sometimes those sweet flavors. How about something that's crunchy maybe? Or maybe it's creamy, like a really good pasta primavera. Or maybe it's a whole myriad of flavors. Each one of us has a different belief about what we think the best food is. And sometimes our idea changes. I didn't used to like cilantro. I love cilantro now. It goes on many things that it doesn't even call for. Kind of like cumin. So we can find, our beliefs can change. Sure. That's fine. So sometimes we have people introduce us to things that turn out to be our new best. Have you ever gone to a friend's house and been introduced to something that you've never eaten before, but to be polite, you try it? How'd that go? It went well? Do you remember what it was? No? Have you ever tried something new? Did you end up liking it? Kinda. Yeah. Sometimes we have to, we change our beliefs about what our new best food is. And sometimes we have people help us around us to change. So, when you go back and you meet with your group downstairs, you might talk about what your best food is right now. And maybe even more fun and maybe sillier is what is your yuckiest food? Because I don't know about you, but I have a yucky food. And it's been my yucky food since I was you guys' age. But I used to have to eat it all the time. You a yucky food? You ever think about that? Well, let's sing you out. And see you later. At this time in our service, we have an opportunity to give back with our monetary contributions. It's one of the things that helps keep this church running. And I would invite you to look on your insert, and there's a barcode, or a, what do they call it? It's not a barcode. QR, thank you. See, I'm trying to get up here in 21st century. A QR code. And you can just scan that, and that can help you get into Vanco, and Vanco could be a way of you don't have to write a check or put cash in. So just be helpful as you can. Oh, that was gorgeous. Thank you. In your bulletin, you will find the words that we use to receive these offerings. We give these gifts freely. We receive these gifts gratefully. We dedicate these gifts to the work of our congregation, serving human wholeness, caring for our planet, upholding religious freedom, welcoming the stranger, loving one another. At this time, I'd invite you to turn to number 299. We are going to use this music as a way to help us become a little more centered in our experience today. It's called Make Channels for the Streams of Love. If you would, I'd invite you to stand if you would like. Carol, do you want to play it through once since this is new to us? Make channels for the streams of love where they may broadly run, and love has overflowing streams to fill them everyone. But if at any time we seize such channels to provide, and weary founts of love for us will soon be parched and dried. For we must share if we would keep this gift all else above. We cease to give, we cease to have, such is the love of God. This is a tradition at All Souls that we will have a moment where we can invite individuals to come up and briefly share a maybe specific joy that has happened this week. Or maybe it's something that is weighing on them. So this week, my concern is for all of those families who have just found out that they're losing their child care. I'm way past child care years, but I remember how frantic I felt when something fell through that, and I had to make sudden arrangements. I didn't have family in town. Child care is a huge thing. So my thoughts are with all those families here in Sioux Falls who have just found out that they have no child care coming up in January. Yeah, 800. Thanks, Scott. So I'd invite you to come up.
Thank you, and if others have things, please, start coming up. I just want to thank everybody who was here last night for the hanging of the greens, because it's easier when you have 13 people doing it all together than just one or two, and I think the church looks fabulous. So thank you to everybody who attended the potluck last night and helped make the church look like it was Christmas.
My name is Alan. The joy I have to share is that our denomination made the national news when there was a story on public radio during the week, and it was repeated yesterday on Saturday about the OWL program, Our Whole Lives, which we participate in here in Sioux Falls, along with the UCC churches. And they're doing it in Topeka, never mind, it's in Oklahoma, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, thank you. Because there's so many schools that don't teach sex education, and so churches are stepping up, and so All Souls Church in Tulsa was featured.
Wow.
Hi, I'm Scott, and I had just had a very small discovery that nothing important happened this week.
Well, I will take this final stone that is multicolored and put it in for all of those joys and concerns that each of us may still hold within our hearts, knowing that as we put it in our bowl of water, the ripples go out, and hopefully you know you're not alone in whatever that joy may be, or maybe that sorrow that you have. Let us just take a moment and ponder what has been shared this morning for our joys and concerns. Thank you. At this time, I invite Rev.Jean Morrow up.
You all are sweet, sweet, sweet. And it's and it's good to be back with you. Yeah, it's really good to be here. It always feels like home. It's always funny when I seem to serve with Sue Ann a lot, and there's always kind of this and this part with she and I. So we'll try to get this just right. Well, I've been on a search for truth of late. Is there more than one truth? Is it just one truth? Are there, that sort of thing. I've been on this search on and off for a long time, and I blame it on a combination of things. First of all, I'm the youngest of 5. So I have 3 older brothers. So I had the opportunity to watch people play fast and hard with the truth. Right? And now that we're older, we have 5 different versions of things that we all experienced. And since I'm the youngest, my memory is always questioned the most. Oh, you were so young. Oh, you were too young. It's like, no. I was there. I was there. The other reason I'm a truth-seeking meaning maker is because, I think, was because I was an English major in college. And literature seems to be one of the places where we're on a constant search for truth and meaning. So I seem to have stayed on that path. This morning I want to offer some of my musings on truth, but before we get there, I want to offer, in true English major style, a couple of readings. The first one, a very short poem by Emily Dickinson. I've loved this my whole adult life. Emily says, "Tell the truth, but tell it slant. Success in circuit lies too bright for our infirm delight. The truth's superb surprise, as lightning to the children, eased with explanation kind. The truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. Oh, I love that. Tell the truth, but tell it slant. Great opening line to ponder. In my later years in college, I took a women in literature course, which was cleverly disguised. It really was a feminist literature course. And I'm not sure if it was a class reading or someone recommended it to me, but I bought Adrienne Rich's book on lies, secrets, and silence. And the excerpt that I want to offer has also stayed with me for years. And of course, it comes to mind in these times of divisiveness for me. That's probably why I'm on my search for truth. When we hear leaders and politicians telling truth so slanted, it no longer sounds like the truth. And we find people in family and friendships squaring off to defend their understanding of truth in ways that are silencing. At least it has been for me. I think it is also the squaring off over who has the facts that has me continuing to reflect, wondering how we should engage the world and derive truth. So from Adrienne Rich, another reading. This one I think was meant for an intimate relationship, but I've read it over and over and over a million times, and I think it can be stretched further. Rich writes, an honorable human relationship, that is one in which two people have the right to use the word love, is a process delicate, violent, often terrifying to both persons involved, a process of refining the truths they can tell each other. It is important to do this because it breaks down human self-delusion and isolation. It is important to do this because in doing so, we do justice to our own complexity. It is important to do this because we can count on so few people to go that hard way with us. It isn't that to have an honorable relationship with you, I have to understand everything or tell you everything at once, or that I can know beforehand everything I want to tell you or need to tell you. It means that most of the time I am eager, longing for the possibility of telling you. That these possibilities may seem frightening, but not destructive to me. That I feel strong enough to hear your tentative, groping words. That we both know we are trying all of the time to extend the possibilities of truth between us. If we could just take a moment for prayer. May the words of my heart and the meditations of our souls bring joy and truth to the surface. O creating Spirit. Amen. Well, your sign should say something about fuzzy edge walking, because that's my title. My title comes from a different search I'm on, a search for a way to describe who I am as a religious and spiritual person. As many of you know, my foundation is progressive Christianity. We are an ancient breed, nearly made extinct by orthodoxy in Christianity. Quite irritating. And I've wanted to turn my back on Christianity several times during my life. But following the life and teachings of Rabbi Jesus still resonate for me, still does. So my foundation is Christianity, but my sense of my being a religious person and a spiritual person has been so enhanced and enriched by other religious traditions, especially Lakota spirituality, Buddhist practices, the search for the divine feminine, and New Age thought. So I can't simply answer the question, what denomination are you? What religion are you? So I've been looking for a new phrase that would fit better. And then I stumbled on the phrase edge walker. I am a religious edge walker. And then I added the word fuzzy, because I like the word fuzzy, and I'm a fuzzy edge walker. I am on the fuzzy edge of Christianity, open to and reaching for all that enhances my religious understandings and deepens my spirituality. My fuzzy edge allows me to gently brush up against or cuddle up to other fuzzy edges. See, I really am Unitarian, right? I am. Oh, we know it. Got to take the class, I guess. I don't know. So, anyway, I've been trying it on. I've been wearing it, and unfortunately, no one has asked me my religion or denomination since I discovered it. So I haven't had a chance to shop it around. But see how it's received, you know. But maybe y'all can tell me after worship what you think of being a religious edge walker. So pivoting to the topic of truth. As I said, of late I've been meditating yet again on the concept of truth. And I was listening to a podcast by my current therapist, Dr. Phil. My friend Tina, who's a therapist, starts to shake her head like this. It's like, Jean, no. Anyway, Dr. Phil was interviewing Dr. Frank Luntz, a political communications expert. And I know if you don't know his name, you've seen him on TV on the morning shows. He's the guy that gets groups together like Democrats and Republicans to discuss social issues, right? I mean, we all know him. And anyway, he said something that caught my attention. He's a political wonk and has been doing this kind of thing literally for years. He was speaking about how things have changed in the recent past. And this is what caught my attention. Luntz said that now people are not looking to be informed, but are looking to be affirmed. Now, I know this is not a new idea, but in the midst of that particular conversation, the title of it was Healing the Divide. In that conversation, it jumped out at me. People want to be affirmed, not informed. In this day and age, many people are seeking affirmation. They want to be affirmed that they are right without testing their assumptions and understanding of things. And a strong desire, demand for affirmation has a tendency, I think, to push us into echo chambers. If we spend all our time in an echo chamber, it can be a really hostile environment when we step outside the echo chamber and engage with people who do not believe as we do. You can see where I'm going. I now find myself exploring the idea of the fuzzy edge of truth and embracing being a fuzzy edge walker. I really like it, so be careful when you give me feedback later. Anyway, being in your company, I thought this is a perfect place to explore fuzzy edge walking. Some of you may have heard Garrison Keillor's Thanksgiving story in which Unitarians are featured. In the story, he describes a Lake Wobegon family visiting relatives back east for Thanksgiving and mentions that the relatives are Unitarian, and then he says something like this. A lot of folks say that Unitarians have no beliefs. That's not true. Unitarians have very strong beliefs. It is just that what those beliefs are depends upon what book they last read. I don't know what you think about that characterization. Well, what I do know and trust is that you keep your edges fuzzy. And I see fuzziness as a strength. We humans are not omnipotent, and we form beliefs and truths, if you will, on the best information we have available to us. If we are responsible for our beliefs and truths, they are bound to be altered in light of new information and new insights. I tend to agree with French existentialist philosopher Simone de Beauvoir, who wrote, "To say that life is ambiguous is to assert that its meaning is never fixed, that it must be constantly one." Meaning is never fixed. It must be constantly sought and won. An honest assessment of human experience must acknowledge its ambiguous nature. And once you accept ambiguity, you experience its beauty. The living of life is flavored with delicious ambiguity. Simple answers to difficult questions may be reassuring in the moment, but they do not reflect the complexity of experience. As for me, I'm always suspicious of any answer, especially a religious one, that is presented as absolute and certain. I just refuse to give up my fuzzy edge. One of the things I love to do is to turn to science to inform and sometimes affirm. I fall victim to this as well. My way of thinking, so I thought I might do that today with you all. I once read an article by mathematician, scientist, and educator Dr. Warren Weaver entitled "The Religion of a Scientist." He said his approach to religion was influenced by a principle from science called the principle of complementarity. Not an easy word for me, complementarity. This was a principle developed by physicist Niels Bohr to try to describe the nature of the elementary units of light, electrons, and photons. Under some experimental conditions, these units behaved as though they were particles. But under other conditions, they behaved as though they were waves. Well, which one's correct? Were they particles or waves? What's a conventional scientist to do? They can't be both. They need to be one or the other. Enter unconventional scientist Niels Bohr. Bohr said they were both. He said the observer and the circumstances of the observer make a difference, and so you need a principle of complementarity to understand the nature of light. In other words, he said the two viewpoints both contradict and complement each other. Both sets of information, though they contradict each other, must be accepted as equally valid. One must learn to look at them as complementing each other, even though it may give you a headache, because it does me sometimes. To live with the principle of complementarity, we must learn to live with and be open to contradictions. Now, I can't stand before you and honestly claim I have mastered the principle of complementarity, not in all aspects of my life, but practicing has helped me keep my edge fuzzy, not feeling compelled to reconcile seemingly opposing positions immediately. It is better for me if I just let them dangle together in my mind, attempting to hold and explore the value of each. We've been taught to attempt to reconcile contradictions. It's ingrained in us. I teach a class on how the Bible came to be, exploring where it came from, who wrote it, when it was written, well, who was it written for, blah, 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 blah. And I use contemporary biblical scholars. As part of the class, I always do a section on Eastern thought, ancient Hebrews, narrative, storytelling, use of metaphor, and Greeks, Western thinking. We've been highly influenced by the Greeks in our education system. The Greeks loved duality, black and white thinking. They thought in terms of true and false, right and wrong. Either the ocean tides are controlled by the moon or they're not. Either an apple is red or it isn't. Either gravity holds water in a cup or it doesn't. The Greeks loved their facts. And we sometimes turn facts into idols. Once decided, we don't really want to change them. We hold on. And yet, as we know more, sometimes facts change. We once said with certainty the earth is flat and the sun moves around it. Later, we said the earth is round and it moves around the sun. And now we know the earth isn't actually round, it is more egg-shaped. And the sun isn't like this special thing, it's a star. Though accepted as fact and presented as fact, our understanding of the earth and sun through history has actually been a set of assumptions, guesses, and best estimates. There is still some truth to the statement, the earth is flat. I guarantee you it's flat where I walk. And I think for some of you, it's flat where you garden. No, side of a hill. That is true, but it's only a very small part of the truth. Very small part of the truth. Seems to me that any statement we make about nearly all things is necessarily fuzzy. And some statements are fuzzier than others. Are rocks hard? Well, more or less. Usually more. Is the sky blue? Well, more or less. Sometimes it's orange. Sometimes it's a beautiful shade of lavender. It was a couple nights ago in the east. Oh, it was gorgeous. Is snow cold? I got to bring up snow. We're missing it. Is snow cold? More or less. Usually more. Is snow warm? More or less, but usually less. You get the idea. My musings have led me to value the practice of walking on the fuzzy edge of truth. And I want to invite you into a couple more thoughts from my musings. First, I think there's a difference between truth and consistency. Those two seem to butt up against each other once in a while. Truth doesn't require consistency, and consistency does not necessarily help us discern truth. Philosopher G.K. Chesterton wrote that sanity consists in not worrying overmuch about consistency. I like that. Sanity consists in not worrying overmuch about consistency. He said that ordinary people maintain their sanity because they care more for truth than they do for consistency. When we are presented with two contradictory truths, the healthy person will engage both, holding the contradictions and not tending to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Right? We hold it. Chesterton also pointed out that the extreme inconsistency can be found among those suffering from some mental illnesses. He suggested that often one of the characteristics of a struggling mind is the ability to connect one thing with another in an elaborate maze, which is nearly impossible to follow, but hard to refute. Think conspiracy theories. Given the starting point, everything is neatly connected and consistent. But as Chesterton points out, the problem is not that the logic is faulty, but the premise is too narrow. The circle being drawn is too small, leaving out much of reality. Conspiracy theorists seek affirmation, not information. So they keep what they are looking for narrow. Too often we have to reduce the complexity of things to make it consistent. I think it was Ralph Waldo Emerson who said, seeking consistency, something like this, that's it, a foolish consistency is a hobgoblin of small minds or little minds. Yeah. Boy, that just popped in, sorry. Sorry about that. Channeling Ralph Waldo Emerson for a moment here. The principle of complementarity requires that we keep our perspective broad. Our fuzzy edges must be open and receptive to a variety of lived experiences, especially those that are different from ours. Life is much larger than any system we can attempt to define it. The second thing I've been musing is about intellect. Something many of us admire about ourselves. I know that I do. But I'm more and more persuaded that we must regard our intellect as a tool. It is to be in service to us as whole, connected beings, and not the master of us. Oh, I have to think where I am here. It is to be in service to us. The intellect tool helps us to take in information, create concepts, and discern ideas. But sometimes tools need to be sharpened, and sometimes they need to be replaced. Reminds me of the children's moment. My favorite food has definitely shifted over time. I hardly eat soft serve ice cream anymore, although I have recently with Tina and Leah, but whatever. I hardly eat. It was something I so looked forward to as a kid because I lived on a farm, and once in a while my mom and dad would drive us into town to the drive-in for a soft serve ice cream. My favorite food ever. But I didn't know tiramisu existed. And now I do. I think the principle of complementarity, or the practice of fuzzy edge walking, keeps us open to looking for the truth in what the intellect tends to toss aside. To live with fuzziness, we really do have to adopt a both-and approach. We can look for the truth of both sides of a thing or the many sides of a thing. We shouldn't reject something just because it doesn't fit well into the current compartments in our minds. We just need to make a new compartment to give us time and space for consideration and reflection. In closing, I would like to extend a challenge. Some of you may feel like I've just been preaching to the choir, and I probably have. Your principles are very clear. The first recognizes the worth and dignity of every person. And the fourth principle values freedom and responsibility in searching for truth and meaning. So I think it is time for Unitarians, progressive Christians, and fuzzy edge walkers to patiently teach our approach to exploring meaning and truth to others. We need to find a way to demonstrate how holding contradictory views opens us to new ideas, a variety of lived experiences, and new understandings. Developing and maintaining a fuzzy edge might just calm the rhetoric if we could teach others how to do it. And then it would help keep us in relationship, especially the hard ones. Brothers, sisters, you know the drill. The world needs what you regularly practice. The political climate needs what you regularly practice. I don't have the answer as to how to get the job done. I just know that we all need to learn and practice the holding of contradictions, holding it long enough to hear each other, understand each other, and appreciate the breadth of viewpoint. And I'm in it too, we know how to do it. We do it all the time. So now is not the time to isolate, avoid, or keep silent. Now is not the time to rest comfortably in affirming echo chambers. Now is the time for teaching. I'm calling upon you to be teachers, teaching a better way. As I said, I don't have the answer, but together we might. So I look forward to talking with y'all after worship. Maybe we can find a way. No. Maybe we can share and teach a better way. Friends, let us continue the practice of fuzzy edge walking. And in this season of gift giving, let's figure out how to give this as a gift to the world. May it be so for you and for me. Amen.
It is a blessing. in this season to have someone who brings us a way to do both and. So thank you, Jean. I would invite you at this time to turn in your gray hymnal to number 139 as we sing Wonders Still the World Shall Witness. Carol, would you play this through once for us, please?
Wonder still the world shall witness, never known in days of old, never dreamed by ancient sages, howsoever free and bold. Sons and daughters shall inherit wondrous arts was unknown. When the dawn of peace its splendor over all the world has thrown, they shall rule with winged freedom worlds of health and human good, worlds of commerce, worlds of science, all made one and understood. They shall know a world transfigured, which our eyes did dimly see. They shall make its town and woodlands beautiful from sea to sea. For a spirit then shall move them, we but vaguely apprehend. Aims magnificent and holy, making joy and labor friend. Then shall bloom in song and fragrance, harmony of thought and deed, fruits of peace and love and justice, where today breathe the sea.
I invite you to join along as we extinguish our chalice. The chalice is extinguished, but the light goes with us out into the world. Thanks again, Carol. I would invite you to join us for refreshments at our lower level, and then we'll meet back here at about 11:20. And for what we call circle discussion, it will be a time for you to make Abby comment on Jean's words or ask her for clarification or questions. So enjoy the refreshments. See you later.